I really like real food, and I always have. I consider myself a very polite and sweet sort of food snob, and what that means is that I like real food. I'm also a bit of a geek, not a computer geek, like that I can figure out that kind of stuff, but I love science, and I love what humanity can create and think up. And so years ago, when I first started hearing about GMOs, I thought, oh wow, really cool stuff. What we can do. And then I started reading more and I went, oh my God, I'm horrified. And I basically don't trust these corporations that started off as chemical companies in World War II now are creating our food system. I'm sorry, there's something wrong with this picture for me. Anyway, I didn't know what to do. I mean, what can a person who's not a scientist, not a lawyer, nada, do in this world to affect change that would be everlasting? So I took 6 weeks to learn how to do a ballot initiative. I put up a website and I started reaching out on Facebook. I was like, hi guys, let's do a ballot initiative. And they go, yeah, let's do that. So all these people said yes. They saw the possibility. It spoke to them of their frustration, their anger, their depression, and they found a way, they could see a way out. They lied, they misrepresented things, they twisted the truth. All of that stuff happened. We got reports of Farm Bureau meetings where the Farm Bureau was telling farmers, you're going to get investigated, you're going to get, someone's going to come out and make sure you're doing everything like every week, as if anybody would have that kind of time or resources. It was very confusing, and we were doing well with the polls, and we watched it go down and down and down. It doesn't matter what happens in the actual polling because we've already won. Because we could see that we had started a discussion in the United States that had never happened before. And so now we are all around the state, around the country. I will tell you that all eyes are on Washington. That right now, what's happening here, right now in your state, and that you guys have in your hands, is the most important GMO thing going on in this continent. It's so important. We were asleep in this country and now we're awake. You're polling now at 66%, which is really, really good. All you have to do is keep those voters. You don't have to find any more. You just have to keep them, but it's going to take work because their lies have started. So your ads came out yesterday, okay? And about 3 weeks ago, maybe 2, but 3 weeks ago I think it was, I contacted the campaign and I said, so does your definition of food contain pet food? Because that was a huge issue in this country, in our state, and it was the one that was the most damaging to us. So the commercial was kind of a doofy dork looking guy in his backyard with an apron on, holding a can of dog food, wet dog food, and a steak. And he had an apron on like he was getting ready to do a barbecue. The meat in my dog food's gonna have to be labeled, but the meat in my steak isn't, which was a lie. Okay, so yes, pet food would have to have been labeled if it contained soy and corn, because most pet food does contain soy and corn. But both would have had to have been labeled if the meat was genetically engineered. Your food law says that that food is defined as things that persons eat. So, and we were joking about it today that, even though some animal lovers might consider their pets, their dogs persons, that they really aren't legally persons, I don't think. Just like our salmon, which is getting ready to be genetically engineered on the market, released on the market, when the cows are genetically engineered, and they are being worked on right now. By the way, folks, did you know that they're doing things with cows to genetically engineer them so the milk is more like human milk? When your cows are genetically engineered and on the market, those will be labeled because they will be genetically engineered. You're going to see, well, your juice will have to be labeled, but your alcohol won't have to be labeled. And so, like somebody just looking at that would go, well, that's really weird. But when you find out that alcohol comes under a completely different set of legal restrictions that are operated by the federal government that no state can really touch. So we can't label alcohol. I love that saying, your grandparents all ate organic, they called it food. And so I think that, things have changed since then. We have a right to know for this reason and that reason and that reason, but you know what? We don't need a reason. We have the right to know what we're buying and putting in our mouths, It's just like, I don't have to justify to a corporation why I don't want their product. We caught them in numerous lies in their advertising. They had people saying they were from a university when they weren't. They said that the FDA says that these things are safe, and the FDA does not say these things are safe. They made an announcement that the American dietitians, or whatever it's called now, ADA, said that these things are safe, and they came out and said no, that they were misrepresented. The fact that Monsanto has been prosecuted in 2 different countries, France and South Africa, for lying in their advertising. They're also talking about how pet food will be labeled when your definition of food does not include pet food. Pizza, and when you take it out, these are the examples that they use. Pizza in a restaurant or a takeout place is not labeled, but oh my God, it has to be labeled in a store. Isn't that inconsistent? When was the last time you bought a takeout pizza that was labeled? So it's like, this is about labeling food that's in a grocery store, the food that is labeled in our country. The GMO world is really like in your hands right now. We're all looking to you guys. You're going to be the first state to tip the tide, but it's not promised to you. It's something that you're going to have to work at. If you care about this issue, ask yourself, what can possibly be more important than this right now?